What if I told you that the only way to move forward from here, further than all your hard work and determination has brought you so far, is to go back? Not a few years, but all the way back to the day you were born. Would you believe me? Probably not. However, this is exactly what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Yash, and I'm here to show you how going back is the way forward for artificial intelligence, for swarm robotics and pathfinding. However, not back to the day you were born, back to the beginning of the modern human race, around 100,000 years ago. Let me tell you a story about a time all of us are familiar with, a time all of us have experienced at one point in our lives, which for me was around 18 years ago. I'm talking about infancy, the time when we simply observe the world around us, the people, the objects, and their everyday interactions. The time when we strive to absorb all the information we could about this peculiar world by replicating the behavior of our parents, siblings, and teachers. This was observational learning, a form of social learning that can take place in multiple forms based on the situation, and each form calls upon a different set of processes. For the purpose of this talk, I'll be focusing on the social cognitive theory proposed by Albert Bandura in 1986. Learning how to walk. That was a great milestone during my childhood. After months of watching people around me walk on their two limbs, I could finally begin to emulate their behavior and reap many of the same benefits. The first step of the process was paying attention to a model, and in my case, this model took the form of my parents. At the age of barely 1 year, there's not much else I could do other than paying attention to the people I lived with, and this gave me examples of what is considered basic human behavior, including walking on two limbs. The next step is retention, and watching people walk every waking moment of every day, there was no way I would not remember what the action of walking looked like. Lastly, come motor reproduction and motivation. The ability to physically replicate the behavior and the willingness to do so. Now this was the main challenge. I could obviously see the benefits of walking, reaching higher shelves where my toys may be kept, walking faster than I could at the moment, and most importantly, ending that terrible pain that came out of repeatedly slapping my palms and knees against the hard marble floor. But how could I imagine myself moving from supporting my body on all fours to balancing myself on two legs? This required reinforcement and the constant motivation from my parents, and the improvement after every attempt served as my reinforcement. This is how I learned to walk. However, this is only the surface of our forgotten intelligence. To understand that better, we must travel further back to the co-evolution of humans and wolves. The first domestication, how wolves and humans co-evolved. A book by Purity and Fogg theorizes the origins of human indigenous knowledge as a product of interactions between humans and wild canids in North America, Siberia, Australia, and Eastern Asia. The theory suggests that humans and wolves denned in close proximity around 100,000 years ago, and eventually started playing and hunting together, learning from each other. Therefore, in the context of evolutionary biology, they state that cooperation was more important than competition in forming ecological communities. So let's travel back to this time of cooperation. Close your eyes and take this journey with me. The world around you is one large forest. Trees with lush green leaves are reaching out to the heavens above, and snake-like rivers are slicing through the rich brown dirt in front of you. There's no urbanization, no modern buildings or skyscrapers, no factories belching black smoke into the atmosphere, no establishments for you to buy what you need or listen to someone speak. All you could see was nature, untouched, overpowering nature. Now zooming into where you lived in this world, you see two open areas with stone caves surrounded by trees. You lived in one of these areas with the rest of your tribe, and in the other lived a group of skilled apex predators with a similar social structure as yourself. They had a strict hierarchical structure, with each member of the group having specific roles contributing to the survival of the entire group. Over time, both groups realized that working together and combining their unique skill sets was the way forward. It was much better, much more beneficial than competing for resources. Therefore, humans and wolves began working together with combining their unique skill sets, humans with their long-range weapons, and wolves with their ability to isolate and corner their prey. Humans learned one prominent skill from the wolves during this time: urine marking. Territory marking is something we still use today, and it is similar to the urine marking of the wolves. Wolves, with a sense of smell 100 times stronger than humans, used urine marking to form the borders of their territories, helping the wolves of the pack stay within their living premises and warning other animals to steer clear. This was an excellent strategy for the survival of human communities. However, there was one critical problem. Humans could not detect the smells of the urines of different individuals, and therefore, urine marking served no purpose. Yet, we still mark our borders today, forming the borders between countries and the walls of our houses. This is adaptation. Since urine marking served no purpose for early humans, Dr. Harry Jerison theorizes that humans use visual and auditory cues instead, to form a picture of the world around them associated with different sounds, such as clicks and whistles, giving a certain significance to each area. And this is how modern humans mark their territories. This exhibits our forgotten intelligence, observational learning with the ability to adapt what we see in nature to our own abilities. But why do I care about the intelligence of our species from so many years ago, when our species is much more technologically advanced today? I care because I've seen the development of technology and the marvel of nature firsthand. I care because my love for animals has given me an insight into their unique social structures, behavioral adaptations, and cognition. I care because I believe that the intelligence of nature and our forgotten intelligence is the key to the future of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence today has branched out into multiple subspecializations, and these exciting new terms, such as natural language processing and machine learning, have raised our expectations to the point where we may be approaching another AI vector, repeating the massive withdrawal of research funding and development of the 1970s. The reason for this, in essence, was the inability of research and development to keep up with the heightened expectations of investors. And today, the reason for this may be the major streams and terms that seem to define the idea of AI in our minds. Complexity can often be the enemy of observation and creativity. Therefore, taking a step back from the unnecessary complications we have wrapped around every problem involving artificial intelligence may be the way forward, may be the way to avoid another AI winter. Take swarm robotics, for example. This is a system of multiple robots working collectively to solve problems, forming advantageous structures, and replicating the behavior of natural systems, such as bees, fish, and birds. Here's a short video from the University of Pennsylvania depicting the marvel of swarm technology. Despite the marvel of this decentralized technology, despite its potential in disaster recovery and relief missions, it is rarely used today, as found by a survey by researchers at the Lakeside Labs and the University of Klagenfurt in Austria. And the reason for this may be the inherent complexity of the technology itself, as well as the added complexity due to our current advancements in robotic technology. So let's take a step back and observe swarming behavior in nature to reach a particular destination. Ants. They leave their nest and search for food, circling it until they find a single source of food. Once an ant finds a source of food, it takes back part of it to its nest, leaving a trail of pheromones along the way. Multiple ants may find the same source of food. However, each ant leaves its own individual trail. This is where their intelligence comes in. If pheromones are evaporative chemicals, so over time, the scent they emit loses its strength. Fewer ants are likely to pick up on the longer trails due to this reason. As more ants leave their unique pheromone trails over this shorter trail, its strength increases to a power much more powerful than the rest, forming what we commonly see as lines of ants going to and from a source of food. A common phenomenon I'm sure most of us have witnessed is the breaking of a line of ants due to an obstruction. The ant immediately behind the obstruction seems to stop and divert its path, leaving a trail of pheromones for the ants behind it to follow. And this is how ants deal with complex problems. Though they may not be intelligent individually, together, they're able to solve complex problems with a much greater efficiency. Robotic systems today revolve primarily around centralized infrastructures, mainly because most of our pre-established robotic infrastructures revolve around centralized communication. Though decentralized systems provide a host of benefits, such as higher flexibility and reliability, possibly resulting in greater success rates in missions involving unpredictable and dangerous terrains. These are rarely used today, mainly because of the electrical and processing power they would require. It would be like using a supercomputer to take a selfie. Every smartphone today is able to perform the task of capturing the colors and shapes around us as an array of colored pixels and storing them so that they can be retrieved later. Phones today are even able to store thousands of such images, so you can see why a dedicated supercomputer for this task would be impractical. Similarly, a swarm of robots, with each robot individually processing data and using the common cloud network to further refine its decisions, would require a lot of processors, consuming a lot of power. This is where our forgotten intelligence comes in. Much like humans lack the olfactory ability of wolves, robotics hardware today lacks the ability to efficiently process large volumes of data in real time while responding to rapidly changing environmental conditions. And this is the reason why the behavior of ants must be adapted to the strengths of robotic systems to more efficiently carry out disaster recovery missions. Consider a natural disaster has occurred, such as a volcanic eruption, and a swarm of drones is sent out to aid with the relief effort. Due to the nature of the disaster, the team is unable to plot a quick and remote path for this drone swarm to approach safely. Therefore, the drone swarm must make decisions for itself. The most basic centralized drone swarm would have one unit processing the data and sending out instructions to the rest of the units. In this system, the swarm would be following a two-step hierarchy, with one unit issuing commands to the rest. On the other hand, ants follow a flat or one-step hierarchy, with each individual ant making decisions based on commonly shared knowledge. And this is the reason why robotic systems must be more flexible. Flexibility in a robotic approach would require a flexible hierarchy, with an initial two-step hierarchy branching out into multiple sublevels when the need arises. Here's a short video of an experiment I conducted representing this idea further. As you can see in this setup, each board represents a single robot in the swarm, and the light behind it indicates whether the particular robot is sending out commands to the rest. As we can see in the video, the swarm is initially receiving commands from only the primary controller, and these commands are exactly the same. As an obstacle is encountered by one of the secondary controllers, as shown in the second line, a homing signal is initiated by the primary controller, allowing the separated swarm to return back to the original swarm, while avoiding the obstacle and continuing its route safely. Therefore, we have adapted the behavior of ants to the strengths of robotic systems to lead to much better, much more efficient swarm robotic solutions to disaster recovery problems. Therefore, The next time you encounter any problem involving artificial intelligence. The next time you hear heavy phrases such as natural language processing and machine learning, take a step back, observe the world around you, and adapt what it gives you to your strengths, your abilities, and your current knowledge to solve the problem at hand. In the face of any problem, adapt what the world gives you and use it to solve your problem. The planet is our greatest resource. Adapt what it gives you to your own abilities and forge the path to development. Thank you.